Okay. All right. Okay, we are gonna start. Oops, I lost you guys.
No.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay, that's weird. I cannot see you guys. Now I can for a second. Okay, we are gonna start recording, and as soon as I start recording, the floor is yours, Lance. Okay, Lance, your floor is it's your floor. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thanks, George. Hey, good to see everybody this morning. It's very rare that I get up this early in the morning. It's usually I got a flight or I'm going fishing or there's very few things will wake me up. But I'm glad to be here with you guys. It's exciting always to be able to be asked to share. Actually, Tracy usually will fill this spot, but she's actually taking grandkids to school this morning. So you guys are stuck with me. So anyway, yesterday she mentioned to me that I was going to be on today, so I threw something together really quick. It's just going to be a little bit different, than most trainings, but I thought it was kind of fun. With social media, that's kind of changed things the last few years. And I watched this video and actually posted it on my wall probably 2 or 3 months ago, and then somebody reposted it a couple days ago, basically saying, "What did you learn from this?" And so I'm going to start by showing you guys a video that I think is kind of a cool thing. Let me see if I can make sure I can share. And can you all see that okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna share with you this video, and I'm gonna I like you as you go through this or as this goes. It's only about 45 seconds. But think about what is it you learned from this, and then I'm going to share a couple of things I learned, and then I'll turn it back over to you, George. These are two kids, and they have a goal, and their goal is to fill their bucket full of the balls behind them. And so it's kind of a self-explanatory. So I'm going to play it real quick, and then we'll jump back in here.
What is that?
Yeah, kind of a fun little video. And so I sat in there and I kind of looked at it, okay, well, what did I learn from this? And I'm just going to go over a couple things and relate them to the business. And again, this will probably be a fairly quick call this morning. But there's 5 things that I took away from it. Number one is there was a start. Obviously at the very beginning of the video they say go, and both people take off. And I found in the 3 decades I've been in this industry that there's a big difference between signing up and actually getting in, and there's a big difference between starting and actually doing it. I've used this example for years that what you see here is a picture of 3 frogs sitting on a branch. One of them decides to jump off the branch, and how many frogs do you have left? And most people want to say 2, but the answer is actually 3, because just because someone decided to jump off the branch didn't actually mean they did it. And how many people do we know that they say, "Hey, I'm in and I'm going to go build this," but they really don't necessarily do it. And so at some point you've got to start. And I know that there's 2 parts of our business, and we're sharing one of them today, which is a huddle, which is a motivational huddle, a training huddle. But I was talking to somebody the other day that they were 32 years old. They'd been going to college for I think 7 years. They've got a couple of degrees, and then they changed it up, and they went back to school again. They went back to school again, and it was interesting because I was talking to them, and it became very, very clear that they really weren't sure exactly what they were going to do. And I could actually see this person being a college student forever, and I chuckle about it a little bit, and I'm proud of them for putting the effort in. But there comes a point in your business and your life where you've got to actually launch your business. You've actually got to go out there and do what you're saying, or you say you're going to do. And obviously, the goal is to graduate. The goal is to go out there and go to work in the real world. I mean, that's really what you want to do. And unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, for some people, they get involved in our industry and they want to hang around, they want to go to the events, they want to get around people, and that's really all they're looking for. And if that's somebody like, if you're on this call and that's you, then I think that's fantastic. But the truth of the matter is, our training system is geared toward to get people an education and then get them to go start. I mean, to get them go out there and do the things that really it takes to go build our business. And for some people, they get kind of stuck in this one. They basically become professional students. And there's 4 income generating activities that are out there. The four income generating activities are writing a list of names. Second one is contacting. The third one is we call it STP is sharing the plan or showing the plan or sharing the products. And then there's a follow-up. And the follow-up, you're going to get either yes or no. You're going to get some questions. And if they decide to jump on board, you get them registered. And then you go through the four income generating activities with them. You names, list, invite, show the plan, follow through. And those are the things that actually create the income. And I found that a lot of folks, they get involved in this and they spend very few time, very little time doing that, but they spend a lot of time on all the calls. And I think, at last count, I think there's about 12 or 13 Zooms you can tie in every week. And I love these. I love being on these. I love, being part of it. But I will tell you that if that's it and you're not doing the income generating activity, at some point you got to draw a line and say, you know what, let's go ahead and go and let's make the thing happen. So that was number one. Number two, and this was the obvious one with this video, is do the hard things first. The little kid on the left took off, I mean, literally, halfway through the video, it looked like, God, he's only got three of them left. He's just absolutely crushing the other person. And the person on the right that went long on the first one and then came back, I mean, it looked like he was going slow. But what he decided to do is do the hard things first. The hardest one was to run all the way back, the farthest, and to come back. And a couple of examples I want to use on this one is that all of us in here, if I were to ask you, and obviously we can't do it in this type of a format, but if I were to say, are you at the rank you want to be? And I'm talking to myself as well. So if I want you to be clear on that. Are you at the rank you want to be? If the answer is no, then what is it that you need to do that'll help you get to the next level? And my guess is if you think about that and are honest with yourself for a few minutes, you probably know what that answer is. There's something that you need to do that if you did that, that would get you to the next level. That would help move your business forward. And the question is why aren't you doing it? I mean, that's the real question. I've told people for years that the goal in our industry isn't to get other people to do what we want them to do. The goal in our industry is to get us to do the things we know we need to do. And for a lot of times, the reason that the things holding you back is because for whatever reason that the thing that you need to do is hard or it seems hard to you. And so you get stuck in it. I'll just give you a simple example. I had my first year in the industry. I wrote a list of names and I had, a couple hundred names on my names list. And I had a guy named Mick Epperson. Mick Epperson was a guy who was an entrepreneur. He was probably 20 years older than me at the time. I got involved in my early 20s. I had low self-esteem. And every time I went to make a phone call, I thought of Mick Epperson's name because I thought, man, this guy, if he got involved, he'd crush this thing. And so on Monday, I'd wake up, I'd look at my names, I would look at Mick Epperson's name, I go, he's a tough one. I don't think he'll get involved. I probably need to do some other stuff first. And so I'd call everybody else except Mick. I would do that on Tuesday. I would do that on Wednesday. I did that on Thursday. I did that in January. I did that in February. I did that in March, April, May. Every single day I thought about Mick Epperson's name, and I never called him because I was nervous about it because he had success. He drove a nice car, had a good family. And finally, about 7 months into the thing, I called him up. And we talked for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I told him I was building a business. And he said, Lance, he said, I've got a lot of things on my plate. Why don't you check back in a year or so? But right now, it's got to be a no. And I hung up and I go, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. I went over to my list. I marked off Mick Epperson's name and I didn't have to think about him again after that. But the agony that I went through for an entire 7 months, thinking about this guy every single day, it was actually just a relief to have him know. I was kind of excited it was no because I didn't have to think about him again. I don't know if you relate with that or not. But I know that if you've got something in your heart, I'm big in faith. I've got a faith in my maker and I pray about my business. I pray, about the people I meet. And if you've got that feeling that, hey, you need to contact somebody, just do it. Don't hold back. Do the hard things first. I promise you in the long run, it's going to be the best thing for you. And it may be, you may not get the answer you want like I did. The guy didn't get involved. He ultimately, about 2 years later, as we had success and left our careers and did this full time, Mick came over and was a big part of our business for a bunch of years. But at that time, it was a lesson to me that you've got to go out and do the tough things. And so whatever it is that you're afraid of doing right now, do the hard things first. The kid on the right, he went out there and got the long distance ones right off the bat. And it looks like he was losing, but really he wasn't losing. And that was kind of the cool part about that. And so that's number two. Number three is, and this is a big one for leaders. Typically these calls are for leaders in the morning. Most of you would consider yourself one. Your goal is to be one. But it's important in our space to run your own race. There's there's a lot of times there's a tendency or a desire to kind of watch what's happening over here or what this person's doing over there, or what's going on, or how come they're going fast, or how come they're going slower, and sometimes it puts you in an awkward spot. I heard there's a quote out there I love that comparison is the thief of joy. And I've found that in doing this for 3 decades, there's always going to be somebody who has, who builds it faster than you. There's always going to be somebody who's going to be at a bigger rank than you. There's always going to be somebody who's got a bigger, house or a bigger yacht or whatever. There's always going to be somebody in that. I mean, you take the best in the world at golf or in any sport, and there's somebody who's going to be better at that. And you're not running the race. The goal isn't to go out there and compete with anyone else out there. The person you need to compete with every day is the person that you see in the mirror. It's who you look at every day, and that's the person you got to compete with. And you got to compete with the old version of yourself and improve yourself on a daily basis. I put this picture down here because a lot of people get involved at the beginning and they say, you know what, I want to go 5-star, I want to go 6-star. And when I hear somebody who's brand new say they want to do that, I think that's fantastic. I say, but I'll tell them, say, well, hey, let's get you to become a qualified brand ambassador. Let's get you to 1-star. Let's get you to 2-star. Let's get you to 3-star. If you have little steps along the way that will help you get that you can see, you're more likely than the person. If there's two people here, one that can see the steps and they can climb the ladder. The person on the right here, they're going to hit a wall because it's going to take some time and some numbers to get the volume and enough volume to hit 4-star and hit 6-star and work your way up the compensation plan. And so don't compare yourself to other people. One of the things I realized a long time ago, and it's interesting because I've built this in good economies, I've built this in bad economies, I've built this in when everyone was getting involved in our industry, when people weren't getting involved in our industry. And here's one of the things I found out is that, we're actually building, all of you that are on this call, we started a company 2 years ago, and we're doing something that is very, very difficult to do. And that's to get us a ground floor opportunity off the ground. It takes a lot of time and effort. It takes, you have to have the right foundation in place. You have to have the right chemistry in place. You have to have the right systems and tools in place. And it takes a little while to ferret all that out. But once you actually get it in place, there's going to be people. I tell people all the time, it's like this time of year, if you live in an area where it snows a lot, my guess is you got road construction everywhere. And the road construction, there's cones and there's traffic and there's people invest and it just stalls everything down. But once the road is built, the people could come on in the fall and they can go 80 miles an hour on the freeway. Well, for a lot of you that are on this call, a lot of you were part of putting this together, and we got the cones up, we got the vests on, and the shipping, it's these different things that we've got to work through. And you're going to find that there's going to be people that come along in a year or 2 years when we really hit the momentum phase. They're going to jump in and they're going to go from 0 to 6-star in 6 months or 8 months. And I promise you, to do that from scratch, right? The last 2 years is difficult. Now, I think that we're hitting that point right now, and a lot of the pieces are there to make that happen. But if I had a chance to choose between a leader who really kind of put their nose to the grindstone and worked it really hard for 3 or 4 years, and then their 5th year momentum kicked in, and then they took off. If I had to choose between that leader or somebody who got involved, jumped on a freeway, and built their business and went 6-star in 5 months, I would take the first one. And the reason why I take the first one is because they've been kicked in the teeth a few times. They've got nose bloodied a few times, and they have a different perspective than some of the ones that come along. In our industry, we have a lot of things that a lot of people I call one-hit wonders. And what they do is they jump in an industry in jump in a company year number 3 or year number 4, year number 5, and they draft. They catch the draft off of everybody else. Have you ever seen a bike race? You get the lead, you get the lead of the pack, and then you got a lot of people that kind of come in behind them, and they draft off the person in front of them. And that's great. I love building that. I love building that. And you guys have been building that. We've been building that at 3 for the last 2 years. But we're going to see a lot of people come in and go fairly quick later on down the road. And I don't mean to minimize their success, but I will tell you, if you get involved and you have the struggles and you kind of beat your head against the wall a little bit at the beginning, when you do grow, you're going to appreciate it. You're going to understand it. You're going to know what you did. You went through some hard times. You'll be grateful. A lot of times the people who are one-hit wonders come in and they go from 0 to $1 million a year in 6 months. And I could tell you hundreds of names right now that are coming to mind. And they're making $1 million a year in 6 months, and also their income drops to 800,000. They're like, "Oh, it's over. It stinks. I'm out of here." And they go jump into something else. And George, I'm sure you could tell the same stories. You probably know a lot of the same people. And so run your own race. Don't. I'm just looking at my notes real quick. Don't worry about what other people are doing. For me personally, I've always built my business based on income, not necessarily rank. I build it based on an income that I'm shooting for. And if I ever cross the rank along the way, then so be it. Now, get with your support team. I don't want to throw anything weird. I'm just telling you that for me, I'd rather have a solid, secure business that I can build upon than somebody who goes out there and hits a bunch of volume real quick, hits a high rank, and then comes back down. And what I mean by that is I'd rather be a 4-star making, you know, $150,000, $200,000 a year than somebody who went 5-star and maybe they did it on a promo or whatever and it came back and now they're making 80,000, $80,000 a year. And so look at your business and look at just build that foundation. You know, what I always look at is I look at how many people are like building and like me. And to go from 1 to 2 is a little hard. 2 to 4 is hard. You get 8 or 10 people that are like, if I'm George and I got 8 or 10 people like George and Adrian in my group, that's good. That's the foundation of it. That's what you're looking for. And that's more important. You know, the team that you have is more important than the rank that you wear. Run for the ranks, obviously. That creates excitement, that creates energy. I've seen a lot of people rank up within the last couple of months, and I cheer for all of them, even the ones that are bigger ranks than me. I cheer greater from that because that inspires me. But you're not running against them. You're running your own race, and so just kind of keep that in mind. You know, this kid in that video that I showed, halfway through, it would have been easy for him to give up. I mean, he still had like 7 balls left. The other kid only had 3, and it's like, dang, how come that guy's crushing me? And the truth of the matter is the guy ended up winning in the long run because he did the hard things first and it didn't really matter. He wasn't necessarily, he was competing against the other guy. But if you look at somebody else, sometimes appearances can be deceiving is all I'm saying. And so run your own race. Your only competition is your old you. And one of the things I was going to put it is on the small goals. Set some goals for yourself. You know, if you're a 3-star and you're going for 3-star pro, you know, set that goal, but also set a reward for it. Hey, when I do that, I'm going to get this, or even 1-star, 2-star. I mean, I was laughing with we were this weekend up in Yuba City, which is north of Sacramento, and I was talking to. We went on Friday night to dinner, and I don't know if Fotine's on here or Cindy's on here, but I was talking to 2 of them at a restaurant, and I was laughing because, you know, Cindy does real well, lives on a 400-acre ranch. She's debt free, and her dream is to have a pool in her backyard. That's kind of her legacy. And I was talking to Fotine, and she wanted a motorhome. And I said, okay, that's great. You know what kind you're going to get? And for me, we want to build a big pergola in our backyard with a big fireplace and a smoker and a lot of stuff built in. I've got a nice backyard, but we'd like to kind of restructure it and build something big. And I told him, I said, you know what? I said, I want to build that. I've got the money to build it, but I'm pushing myself. I want to hit the next rank before I do it, because I've learned a long time ago that learning to deny yourself is one of the best things that you could possibly do. And dang it, I could go out there right now. I can see it. I've actually kind of got the marks out there. But every time I think about going ahead and writing a check, I go, you know what? I haven't hit the goal that I set for that. And it's funny because I looked at Cindy and she says, no, I got the same goal. You know, my goal is to go 4-star. You know, I talked to Fotine and she said, my goal is to hit this. And all 3 of us could probably pull that off right now. But again, the goal isn't to get other people to do what you want them to do. The goal is to get you to do the things you know you're supposed to do. And, the good news in this is you don't have a boss. There's nobody that can fire you. You know, we can't fire you. George can't fire you. You know, you don't get, but the bad news is you don't have a boss and there's no one there to tell you what to do. And so you've got to tell yourself what to do, and you've got to keep on task. And so, anyway, that one's off topic, but I threw that one in there. Learn to deny yourself, set a goal, and stick to it until you hit your goal. So, number 4 is don't stop moving your feet. I would say of all the things that when people ask, they say, "What's the key to this thing? You know, how do you stand for all the years?" I would say number 1 is consistency. Probably more than anything else. This is a part-time business, but it's not a sometime business. And what I mean by that is a lot of people get involved. They'll go work it for a week or 2 or 3, and they'll do it really hard, and then they'll take a month or 2 off, and then everything kind of goes backwards. And then they'll go to Salt Lake, they'll get excited, they'll come home, they'll run for a month or 2, and then kind of life gets in the way, and they'll take 2 or 3 months off. And I'm just going to challenge you. If you've got 1 day a week to build this, build it 1 day every week. If you got 2 days, build it 2 days every week. I mean, but stay consistent with the time frame. I've often used the example as we've gone out there teaching about running up the down escalator. If you've ever been in the mall and you got escalator going up, you got escalator going down. Every now and then, when I used to do this when I was a kid, is you'd go try to see if you could run up the down escalator. The escalator's coming down and you go run on it and you see if you can make it up. And you can do it. If you're stay consistent, you can get to the top of it, but you got to kind of put your head down and you got to, go faster. You got to go up faster than it's coming down, and you can make it to the top. But I will also tell you that you could actually get halfway up and go slow enough to where you could be staying in exactly the same place. And if you go too slow, the escalator is going to take you back to the bottom again. And the people who are inconsistent will find themselves in a spot where they'll get close to the top, they'll almost see it, and then if they stop for 2 or 3 months, they kind of go back to the bottom again. And that momentum is hard to get back. I mean that's true in every business. If you have a great restaurant that you go to, and you really like the food, and then you take your family a couple weeks later and you go there and it's closed because their cat got sick or whatever. You're not going to go to that restaurant very often because you're not sure whether they're going to be open for business or not. And you are your own restaurant, you are your own business, and you are your own brand. And so be consistent with it. I tell people that again, if you got a day a week or an hour a week, do an hour every week. If you got 2 hours, whatever, but just try to do it on a regular basis. To do that, book meetings for meetings. That's an important one. I don't usually hang up the phone or get off of Zoom without actually having a time to get back with somebody. But just continue moving your feet. Back in the video that I showed you with the 2 kids, the kid that was way behind halfway through, the kid, he just kept going. He just kept going. And I mean, at the end, he ultimately won the race. And that's why I put the rabbit and the tortoise up here, is because the rabbit took off real fast. The rabbit sat down because he was tired, and he was so far ahead of the tortoise that the tortoise just kind of kept plugging along. And the people who build it like a rabbit, a lot of times, like I say, they're the ones that are the one-hit wonder. They go up, or one of my mentors called them fireworks. They go up, then boom, big flash. Everybody lights up the sky. Everybody sees them, and then they disappear, and you never see them again. It's the ones that are the tortoises, the ones that are day in, day out, stay consistent. Those are the ones that see the greatest success. And I could say that over and over again, that it's true more often than not. And then the last thing I would say is this: is have fun. And this is an important one. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And I was talking to somebody the other day about Dexter Yeager. Dexter Yeager is in my first company. I spent 20 years with him. I got involved in the industry at 21 years old. We hit the top of the rank when we were 25, and Dexter was the legend. Dexter was filling these arenas up, and he would get out there, and he was great. And he was great. I love him. He was an awesome mentor. But he'd get out there and say, "Got to do this 5, 6, 7 days a week. You got to, I don't sleep. I stay up all night. I work 12 hours a day." And he kind of went through this whole thing. And what happened is there was a lot of people that were looking at Dexter, and they were saying, "God, I don't know if I want to do what Dexter does." And at that point, we made a little bit of a pivot in our business, and you're not going to hear this on very many calls, but I'm just going to be honest with you. It's the way that I work. I can run really hard for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then I take a couple of days to recharge the batteries. And I run hard for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I take a couple of days to recharge the batteries. And I've done that for 36 years. That's why I haven't had a W-2 sent to me for 34 years, 35 years. We've been full-time in this industry. And I do it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I do it because that's what works for me. There's a law of diminishing returns for me. If I go past a month or 2 months and I haven't taken a break for 3 or 4 days and recharged the battery, ultimately I don't have a lot to give because my batteries are drained. So I've always had motorhomes. We sold our 42-foot Monaco Dynasty about 1.5 years ago. We did it during COVID just because it was sitting there parking on the side, and it was a depreciated asset. But I've got a fish camp in Ensenada and in Baja. I've got a place down in Cabo. We've got places around here, and we do. I mean, you'll see on Facebook, and if some people look and say, "Well, it looks like they're out there having fun and doing that." I run really hard for 3 or 4 weeks, and I take a couple of days because if I go do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the people that are closest to me will realize that my life kind of is tough, and they don't want to do it. And so I'm just saying, have fun along the journey. Know how to work it for you. And have fun along the way. We have Salt Lake coming up, and go have fun with your people. Go, I love it. I love we're going to have the 80s party, and I love the fact that Daniel's been doing a lot of this kind of stuff. But you gotta have the excitement and energy. And I know a lot of you that are on this call. I get a chance to see you. You light up a room when you walk in there, and I'm just honored to be in business with all of you. For me, that doesn't come naturally, but so I have to kind of force myself to have fun. I don't know about you, Jordan. It doesn't come naturally to me, but I do love having fun, and I do want to create a culture over here that we can go out there and build this in a big way, and we're doing it so that we can go, make the rest of our life the best of our lives. And for us, a couple years ago, we were at a point financially where we could have walked away and just kind of retired from everything. But I remember thinking to myself, I said, well, now what? Now what? Just, sit home and watch TVs and scroll through my social media. That ain't going to work. What I want to do, the reason why, and I'll be honest with you, it's the reason why we're over here at 3 is because I've watched people who have retired in life. I've watched people retired, and the average person who retires, they die 18 months after they actually retire because they don't have any more purpose in life. They don't have anything else that gets them up in the morning. I put a post a couple of days ago. It says, you got to have a reason why you want to jump out of the bed in the morning, and you want to go to bed at night with peace in your heart, knowing you did the right thing that day. And what I want to do is I want to go build this business with like-minded people, not because I have to, but because I want to. I'm not in competition with anybody else. I want to go spend time with like-minded people and go build something incredible together, because that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. That's what keeps me up. That's what keeps my dream alive. And that's what keeps us young, honestly. My goal is to, when I die, I hope I'm 105 years old, sitting on the beach with a self-help book underneath my arm and my 10-year goals in my back pocket. I mean, that's really what I want to do. I want to run, because to me, this isn't work. This is fun. And I'm grateful for our business. I'm grateful for our industry. I'm grateful for the life that we've been able to share. And I feel like we've practiced to hit home runs our whole lives, and now we know how to hit them. And we've got a field, and we've got a track, and we've got the right people on our team. And we're just very excited about seeing where this is going to play itself out. And so with that stupid video, that's my 5 points. I don't know if they're the points that you had. Let me get stop share. There we go. And I just want to say this, just wrap it up, that we're really looking forward to going to seeing all of you in a couple of weeks. I hope that if you come by, you come up and give us a hug, and I mean, we love that. One of the things I realized this last weekend when we were up in the Sacramento area is that it's just so great to be in person. I love these Zooms. I love all this stuff, but there's something about physically being together. If you haven't made a decision to go to Salt Lake, I'm just going to encourage you to do it. If you are going, I encourage you. You got 2 weeks. There's going to be people who get involved in 3 that have never even heard of 3 today. They're going to hear about 3 in the next couple of weeks that are going to be in Salt Lake, and they might as well be on your team. Don't back off. I know that for me, I got in the industry. My sponsor quit almost immediately when I got involved. Because he was in a whole week and he wasn't rich yet, But literally, somebody had the guts to tell me, "Hey, there's an event in Idaho, 12 hours away. I mean, like in a week away." And we said, "You know what? We got nothing to lose. I'm going broke anyway. We might as well go check this thing out and see what's going on." And absolutely changed my life. And so, not only do you need to be there, but don't take your foot off the gas. Keep talking. Go down your list? I mean, there's people that maybe have sat down, maybe people aren't consistent, but go back and just see if you can grab somebody else, because I know it's going to be a fantastic event, and we can't wait to see you all there. So with that, God bless you, and I'm going to turn it back to you, George. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, amazing, amazing. I post the 5 points on the right side. Make sure you take notes, because this is so important. You have to start. I agree. By the way, I saw that video before, like a week ago, and I was thinking, okay, there's no way that the guy on the right side is going to finish first. And I said, whoa. And I love that you do the comparison, do the hard things first. That's, for many reasons. You call that person because you were afraid, but what if you don't call that person, and then you call 6 months later and he's already a leader in 3 or in another company? It happened to me, by the way. I keep procrastinating, and one day I went to this meeting, and this guy's coming, and I know him, and I had him in my list, but I had no call. I said, "Whoa, what are you doing here?" I asked him. He had like 10 guests in that meeting. He became one of the diamonds in that company, and he has signed up 5 days earlier. I have him in my list for over a month. That's why you never know. It's so important. The other thing is be consistent. Yeah, you have to be consistent. No, do not compare with everybody or anybody else. Make sure you don't do that. Do not stop. I mean, you don't stop. The other thing that's important, the last one, have fun. Today with technology, Lance and I, we were talking about technology today. You can leverage your time even better than before. I mean, this Zoom, before we were in coffee places, doing meetings every day, hotel rooms, going around like crazy. Today, you can do 3, 4, 5 presentations in Zoom a day. You can be in your pajamas and nobody notices. I mean, but thank you very much. An amazing call. And make sure that you listen to this or send it to your team that they cannot listen to because they're working or doing something else in the morning. And by the way, I know a morning person. I am glad I don't live in California. It would be too early for me. But anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Super excited. Thank you for being part of this team. Thank you for all the different truth and inspiration that you're sharing with everybody and has to do with your experience. Very important. For those of you that don't know, Lance and Tracy, they have created millions and millions of dollars in this industry. In a pay plan, they started in a pay plan that was very tough, one of the toughest plans in the planet.
Yeah.
Okay, our pay plan, our company in general, we are just starting out. I think when you started in that other company, that company was at least 30 years old.
Yeah.
And still you make millions of dollars. Imagine in the position that we are right now. But anyway, thank you very much. And again, Lance, amazing presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And everybody have an amazing day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.